Uh, Hello, everyone. Before I do Wyatt's introduction, I just wanted to say how I met Wyatt. I met him when I was on the panel to choose the next storytelling. I was on the storytelling part of the storytelling program last year, and this year I I was on the selection panel this year to 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 select athletes that were going to be part of the storytelling program, and I was so impressed with Wyatt and how he interviewed and his story, and I was just like I said, I was just totally blown away by that, and I said, oh, and then I asked Debbie, I said, what do you think about if we can get Wyatt on? And she said, oh, if you let's see if you can make that happen, and this is here we are today. So that being said, now let me introduce my friend Wyatt. Wyatt was born prematurely with many health challenges and spent 7 months in the NICU. His early life.
Brian, we
Brian,
lost you.
You're on mute.
Unmute.
I can't hear him.
Brian, you're on mute.
He's on mute.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay, there he goes. You're back.
okay. Sorry about that, guys. Wyatt was
Oh,
Oh, it happened again, Brian.
He did it
putting
again.
myself on mute. I do, but it keeps putting me on mute. Okay. Wyatt was Wyatt was born prematurely with many health challenges and spent 7 months in the NICU. His early life was full of surgical procedures, yet he lives his life with an optimistic attitude. He was heartbroken when his dad sat him down in middle school and told him he could not play organized sports because it was too risky for his health challenges with cerebral palsy. When he learned about Special Olympics, he finally had some hope. That hope turned into him competing in basketball and tennis. Wyatt is a trained health messenger and employee at Special Olympics Nebraska. He loves speaking about overcoming adversity and has had the opportunity to participate in many speaking engagements on behalf of SONE. He has been host of three podcasts. His first podcast, The Unexpected, from 21 to 2024 with his best friend. Then right now he runs a podcast with his twin brother, and then a podcast he started to promote health and fitness for SONE. In 2023, he was inducted into the SONE Hall of Fame. Outside of his many Special Olympics activities, he loves reading biographies on sports and crime and listening to podcasts. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a nice Connecticut welcome to Mr. Wyatt Spalding.
Woo!
thank you, Brian. It was a great introduction. Thank you. Yeah, so like Brian said, I'm Wyatt Spalding. Think about when you were a kid and what dreams did you have? And we all have big dreams as kids growing up, and my biggest dream was I wanted to play high school sports with my friends. But as I got older, that dream became more unrealistic. When I was born, I had many health complications. So when I was born 2 months premature, and I weighed 2 pounds and 13 ounces at birth. During the first year of life, I had 13 surgeries.
Oh.
And during these 13 surgeries were due because of a tracheoesophageal fistula. So basically what that means is when I was born, my twin brother and I, my esophagus was not attached to my stomach. And so because of that, I had 13 surgeries. I ended up having weak lungs, and my doctors tried to they took this wrap, it's called a wrap. So they tried to connect my esophagus and stomach together. And to do that, they shot this stuff called barium down my esophagus. But instead of it going down to my stomach, it went into my lungs and it damaged my lungs. So my doctors had to tie my stomach in half, and it was the lower part, so I could get food in the lower part and it wouldn't go up in the upper part of my stomach. They added a tube up my nose and down my throat toward my stomach to keep my esophagus open. However, I was getting episodes of too much like saliva, and it kept like clogging my airway to breathe. So this was a huge problem, and so they literally took this tube that was down my throat and they just yanked it out, and that solved that problem. So I had a fundo operation. And what that is, that's just the name of the operation they did to connect my stomach to my esophagus. So I had it when I was born. So, I could eat and all that could be connected. But then I coughed so hard one time when I was 2 that it broke. And so I had to have another surgery to do the whole thing all over again to connect my stomach and esophagus. Because I had weak lungs, I would get sick a lot as a baby. I've had pneumonia probably over 20 times in my life. And during all these diagnoses and medical concerns, I developed a brain bleed within the first couple of days of my life. And I had the brain bleed on the left side of my brain, which caused me to have cerebral palsy on the right side of my body. I was growing up and my parents they'd show me pictures and tell me all the horror stories of all this that happened. And I would just get kind of mad about it because during all this that was going on, the doctors didn't really know if I would live or not. But I took it as they didn't even expect me to have a future or, to do anything with my life. But that's not really true. The doctors, they didn't know what was going to happen. It's basically, they told my parents, your child has a 50-50 chance if he's going to live or die. So going through all this, in grade school, it just made me feel like, why'd I have to go through this? Why'd I have to have a disability? I'm between 10 and 12 years old at this time. And it's very frustrating. I bet a lot of you have gone through it too. When you're growing up, you just want to fit in with all the other kids. And you kind of notice, for me, my disability was very noticeable. So I knew I was different than everybody else. And I just was always kind of behind in athletics and in school. And I just was and it feels like a punishment just having cerebral palsy. But even though I had gone through all this, I'd experienced adversity, but not really because I don't remember any of it. I was only a couple days old. I really experienced what it was like to go through adversity in real life when I was 12. It was the beginning of my 6th grade year, and I was doing fine, a couple of medical things here and there, but nothing out of the ordinary. And so then my stomach started hurting. So I stayed home from school. He's got a stomach virus, it'll pass. Well, this just kept going on and on and on. And before that, after Christmas, it had been 2 months because I started feeling sick in November of 2006. And so in January 2007, my stomach's still hurting. And no one knew what was wrong with my stomach. I ended up missing 66 days of school in 5th grade, and then a handful of days of school in 6th grade as well. And it was very hard because this is the first time I went through depression. I wasn't around my friends. I couldn't play sports, which I loved playing sports. So I was just at home all the time, very depressed and sad and scared because I didn't know what was going to happen. So then finally I find these doctors and they're like, you have memory pains from all the times they opened up your stomach to do all those surgeries for your stomach and esophagus. So I had to learn to deal mentally with, relaxation tips and being more positive. I was very negative at this time at 11, 12 years old because of my disability and all the stuff I had faced. And then plus with that, even when I was feeling healthy and would go to school, I wasn't very good at school. It was very hard for me in school to keep up with the other kids. I wasn't in the same classes as my twin brother and my friends because I needed extra help in class. But through all this, sports was really my outlet. I loved watching sports. Around fifth, sixth grade, I started really to get into like just watching sports and following them. I loved watching basketball, football, and baseball. But my ultimate love was to play. I'd play basketball in the driveway, football in the front yard, wiffle ball in the backyard with my siblings and my friends. It was great. But then to be 12 years old and not be able to, do what you love, it was very hard. That it felt like I wasn't able to play. But then I knew like I'd make it back because I eventually had to get better, right? At least I thought. And so after a year and a half, they figured out all my stomach issues and how could deal with them. I had traveled to like Kansas City for several appointments with therapists on how to deal with, the kind of the nerve pain and the mental aspect of the stomach issues I was having. So when that comes and it's like winter, I'm like 12 years old and I'm going to go out for my basketball team. I'd struggled in the fall with being healthy, but now I'm back to being healthy again. And we're going to go, my brother and I are going to go sign up for our sixth grade basketball team. And I will go to sign up, and my parents signed my twin brother Weston up, but they don't sign me up. Now, my dad had to sit me down when we got home and explain to me like why I couldn't go out for my basketball team. He said, Wyatt, you're not fast enough, you're not strong enough, you're not quick enough. And it's just because of your disability. You wouldn't be able to keep up with the other kids out there, and I couldn't live with myself if something happened to you. I'm 12 years old. I don't understand this. I just want to play basketball. It's the last sport I'm like holding on to. With football, by the time I was 5, was out of the question. When I was in the 5th grade, it was my last year playing baseball because I have bad eyesight. I couldn't see the ball in the outfield anymore. So basketball is the last sport I'm holding on to and hoping that I get to play with my friends all the way through middle school and high school. And then to have that being taken away from me it was devastating for me at that time. I was just like crying and begging my dad to let me play. But he's like, no, I can't let you play because I can't live with myself if you get hurt. I know a lot of people may seem like when I tell this story, think, man, it's kind of mean. Your dad didn't let you play. But now my dad and mom were just kind of doing what any good parent would do. They were trying to keep me safe, and they did it for my health and well-being. It was very, very hard for my parents to have to tell me that, to sit me down at 12 years old and tell me I couldn't do the one thing that I loved, which was to play basketball. So then I'm thinking, after being mad at my parents about this, like, what am I going to do? Am I going to quit sports? Like, I don't know what to do now. So I listened to my heart, and I went to my bedroom, I grabbed my basketball, and I went out to my driveway to shoot hoops. You see, basketball was an escape for me. It was like a way I could like deal with not going out for the basketball team, having medical conditions, not doing very well in school, just having a disability in general because, none of my friends had a disability. They didn't understand what I was going through, and sometimes I felt I couldn't talk to my family about it. So I'd go shoot baskets. And I would shoot baskets in the driveway or at the gym for hours. And it just felt like for those 2 hours or more that I would shoot baskets, I wasn't the kid with the disability. I didn't have any medical problems. I was just a basketball player. So around like 8th grade, I kind of just accepted my disability. That yes, it is a part of my life, but it doesn't define me for who I am. I could still be the way I am and not have a disability. I think a lot of people think we are who we are because we have a disability. And that's somewhat true, but not 100%. Like, I could still be intense and loving sports and working hard if I didn't have a disability. So I just wanted to show people that, yes, I have the disability, it's a part of my life, but it doesn't define my life and what I can succeed. So around around 8th grade, I went out for my basketball team, and that was the first time I ever experienced like a tryout. And I didn't care if I made the intramural team, which was you just practiced all the time, played no games. I just wanted to try out and see if I could do it, and I did it. I tried out.
Got it. Text
But,
from Debbie Horn says, please come.
but I wouldn't be able to do that if I didn't shoot and practice 2 years ago. I would go to the YMCA in our hometown every day after school and shoot 250 to 500 shots a day, do ball handling and defensive drills, then run wind sprints after. I did this like 5-6 days a week. And I had no idea if I was ever going to play on a basketball team again. But I knew that I had to be ready if I wanted to show that I was a good basketball player, even though I have a disability. Going to the YMCA every day, it taught me that we're all gonna go through adversity in life. And if you want to reach your dreams, you're gonna be getting knocked down in life. And you have two choices when you're knocked down. When faced with adversity, you can either fight through the adversity, no matter what the odds are against you, or you can lay down and give up and make a bunch of excuses for why those dreams didn't work out. Whenever I would get down and not want to work out by myself for hours with no games to play, I would think back to when I was like a baby and how I made it through all those surgeries and almost died a couple of times, and how like, man, I made it through that as like an infant with like no strength, just like the will to live. So I could do this with basketball, no problem. Like, yeah, it's hard right now, but I'll be able to succeed if I just keep working at it. And then came along Special Olympics. It was a godsend for me. It's the best thing that's ever happened to me. Around 7th grade, I started playing Special Olympics, and it was awesome to be able to play on a team where I actually got playing time, and I was a key part of the team. One of my favorite memories is my sophomore year of high school, and I've been playing for like 3 years, but none of my friends have came to my games yet, except for my best friend Kenny, and then my twin brother Wes would come. So by sophomore year of high school, Kenny and Weston are my coaches. We're playing traditional basketball. Well, all my friends came to one of my games. The only thing it wasn't a close game. We were like kind of winning by a good margin. So my brother takes me out and he puts me back in. And the one thing I haven't done in the game yet is make a three. And I really wanted to. But I didn't want to seem cocky because, we're up by a lot. I don't really need to make a three. So when they inbounded me the ball, because I was playing point guard, I looked at my brother and I just gave him this look like, can I pull up and shoot the three? And he just gave me the nod like, yeah, go ahead and do it. So I pulled up this like 25, 30 footer and I banked the shot in. Everybody went crazy. It was super loud. It was just an unbelievable feeling of people cheering for me at a basketball game. And that was my first sense of knowing what Special Olympics was really about and the joy of Special Olympics. And it was one of the greatest moments of my sports career. The sport, though, that I've gotten into that has really changed my life through Special Olympics is tennis. I tried to find another sport to play because I couldn't play, softball, and I was playing flag football, but I wanted to find a summer sport because I couldn't play baseball. So I started playing tennis, and my dad taught me how to play. And I wasn't very good, obviously, to start out with. So what I would do is I would go to these 2 tennis courts outside the YMCA, our local YMCA, and I'd hit off the wall of the building for like 2 hours or more. every day in the summertime. And then I would do like footwork and conditioning drills for another hour, and then I would practice serving for another hour. So I spent anywhere from 3, sometimes if in high school, if I didn't have to work that day, I'd spend 3 to 4 hours at the tennis courts in like 95-degree Nebraska humidity and heat. And I did this every day through high school. And by my junior year of high school, I was playing in the top division. I've been playing in the top division at my Special Olympic tennis tournament since 8th grade, but always finished between 2nd and 4th. But finally, by my junior year of high school, I won the state championship and was the #1 player in the state of Nebraska. I finally won several state championships, and I got to go to this tournament in Charlottesville, Virginia, called The Experience. And what that is usually you can sign up for Special Olympic tennis tournaments around the country. But this one you have to get invited to. And so I got invited to it finally at the age of 21. And it's the top 32 players in the United States compete in singles. So you're all by yourself out there. And you compete to see if you can win your division. And I've finished anywhere from 18th in the United States to 25th or 26th out of the 32. And it's a very hard tournament. It teaches me a lot about working hard, and you're not always going to win in sports, but are you willing to work hard and come back even better? My record at this tournament is 14 wins and 20 losses. And every 20 of those losses hurt 'cause I'm very competitive, but it always drove me to want to work hard at it every single day I practiced. My dad always says, you got to play 1 point at a time in tennis. I think that goes along with any sport, really. But also you can relate it to life, and you got to take sometimes 1 day at a time, which I've done several times with dealing with medical conditions. But my ultimate dream when I first started playing tennis, because I didn't even know about this Virginia tournament until like a year or two before I got invited, was I wanted to make it to the USA Games. We all know how great the Special Olympic USA Games is. And so I really wanted to make it. And I finally made it in 2018 for tennis. I made it all the way to the semifinals in singles. And I'd played this guy in the Virginia tournament a couple months earlier, and we're really good friends now. I was actually his best man in his wedding a couple weeks ago. He's from Illinois. And I lost him in the semifinals in a tiebreaker. It was very crushing and disappointing because I really wanted to win in singles. But then I had to pick myself up the next day and play in the doubles finals with my doubles partner, Haley. I played another third set tiebreaker. We're down 4-8, 2 more points and we lose. We win 10-8. We won a gold medal. So that was really rewarding and special to me. And then, along with like the tennis successes, I didn't think I'd have any successes in basketball because I was getting invited to all these tennis tournaments, and I'm just a better tennis player than basketball player. But Special Olympics was able to give me great opportunities that I was pretty shocked at when I got to experience them. I've always wanted to play in the NBA, and ever since I was 8, I would dream about playing in the NBA. Well, I got to experience what it'd be like to be an NBA player by playing in the 2020 Special Olympics NBA Cares All-Star Game. And so I was one of 12 players, Special Olympic athlete players around the U.S. or around the world that got selected to play in this game. I played with like Hall of Famers like Tony Kukoc and Horace Grant. Those guys played with Michael Jordan, Muggsy Bogues. I played against him. He's like the shortest guy to play in the NBA. I actually got tripped by Muggsy Bogues and left a scar for a couple weeks, so that was kind of cool. And it was really cool to like share that moment with my twin brother, especially because we both love basketball. But then the last one I got to experience just recently, a couple years ago, was I went back to the USA Games, but this time for basketball. And the reason why this was so special, and it's probably my favorite out of everything I've done in Special Olympics so far, we didn't get a medal. We got fourth. We played in the top division though. So we finished like fourth out of 13 teams in the US for basketball. But the reason why it's better than like winning the medals in the Seattle or playing in the Virginia tennis tournament was because it was unified. I got to play at a very high level in basketball with my twin brother. And the reason why is because in high school and college, when he played, I didn't get to play with him. I sat on the bench, and now we were able to share this moment together on the basketball court. So even though we didn't get a medal, we lost our 2 tournament games, it was still an amazing experience to share with them. But even though like I'm going through all these successes, and I can end my story right there, like those are all like storybook endings you could just end this speech on or end a book on. But life's not a movie. It's not a book that you just kind of make up and there's a happy ending. Like you go through real hard adversity, and sometimes that people don't even know. Before I ever made it to the USA Games, I didn't know if it was ever going to be possible because my senior year of high school, I had major back fusion surgery. What that means is, so I had scoliosis. So my head was tilted like this for the first 18 years of my life. I never stood up straight. And it went from 30-degree angle to 50-degree angle to 75 or more degree angle. And my spine was like over one of my lungs at this point. And I remember just like hearing the news that I was gonna have to have major back fusion surgery. And it was just pretty devastating. I didn't hear anything they said after that, because they said you'd be out of sports for 6 months to a 2-year recovery. I couldn't even do it in Nebraska. I had to go all the way to St. Louis Children's Hospital to do it with this well-known doctor around the globe that did these surgeries all over the world. But things got like from bad to worse. So I had to wear this like metal thing on my head. It's called a halo. And they put these screws in your head. And then there's like, I describe it as like a backwards walker. So like you're pulling a walker behind you. And they had like this string up top, and it would pull you up. And there's like 20 pounds on the back of this walker, and it's supposed to straighten your back out. So I'm in that for like 3 weeks, have the surgery, then go home. So there for like 3-4 weeks. Well, the day before surgery, I got RSV, which is a terrible cold in your lungs. I'm coughing, hacking up stuff, have a high fever. It was awful. It was one of the most defeating moments of my entire life, really. I thought about giving up and quitting, and just didn't want to like, part of you like just didn't want to live anymore, because it's just like, man, it's like everything that's going wrong for me, I can't catch a break. But I thought about all those times I'd played basketball and tennis and didn't give up. And like, if you don't give up in sports, when you have a serious medical condition or anything with your life, like you can't give up on your life, because then, that's worse than giving up in sports. So I just, even though I was super angry and upset, I just like kept going. I ended up having the surgery, but everything still was kind of from bad to worse. It just kept getting worse. I felt better, but when I woke up out of surgery, I had this excruciating pain of like if you would take a metal baseball bat and tape 3 bricks around it, and someone just beating and beating on your back over and over again. And then like it was like this tightness feeling too, so I'd get the back spasms all the time. When I went home, I thought I would be able to sleep a lot, but I was like dead wrong on that. I saw every hour of the clock, because I could only lay on my back for an hour, and then my parents had to help me up carefully and walk with me every hour of the night for the first week and a half or 2. But then by like the summer of 2014, I was able to finally walk again. I couldn't walk for like a month without assistance. And even though like, I was very down and depressed, and I knew I wasn't myself because I was going through these nerve pains with my back, I would envision playing at the USA Games in 2018. I'd be listening to music, books on tape, motivational speeches as I like walked around my neighborhood, because that was my physical therapy. They said just walk as much as possible. And I would just envision myself playing and, I'm going to play, I'm going to come back better than I was before because I knew I'd play better because I'm finally stand up straight. I hadn't stand up straight for the first 18 years of my life. I had never been able to hold my head up before. So I knew like in about 2, 3 years, my life was going to be so much better. And then 4 years later, I made the USA Games. But then 2 months, another thing I deal with today happened 2 months before I played at the USA Games in 2018. So we played in July of 2018 at the USA Games. In May of 2018, there was a couple days like all of a sudden I couldn't swallow any food. And every time I'd take a bite of food, I'd like gasp for air. Well, what happened was the entry to my stomach had completely shut. So I couldn't get food or liquid down. I got super dehydrated. I lost 10 pounds in 2 days. And I had to have a scope, an emergency scope. And what that is they take this camera, go down your esophagus, and there's like a balloon attached to it, and they reopen the entry to your stomach. So I would do these like all the way back to elementary school. But I'd do it like once a year just to check on things. Well, now I'm doing them every 6 months. Then it went every 3 months. To today, I do them every 2 to 3 months, where my entry to my stomach closes up or just a little bit. It hasn't been near that bad of May of 2018, but still pretty uncomfortable sometimes. So I do that every 2 months now. And there's a risk of the wrap that connects my esophagus to my stomach will eventually fail someday. And I'll have to have a major surgery where they could take my esophagus out. But I try not to worry about that because I can't control, that. It's not, when you deal with a medical thing, a lot of times you can't control it. You just have to learn to live with it and deal with it. And the way I got through all these medical stuff and the successes of basketball, tennis, and just my personal life is you got to believe in yourself. And you're going to have setbacks in life. Some may be bigger than others. People who stop pursuing their dreams, it usually happens when they doubt themselves. This is where you really have to believe in yourselves the most. It's easy when things are great. Even when the reality check sets in and things are still good, right? You're still going for that goal and you believe in yourself. You see the finish line, but you can overcome it. Then as you go farther into the process of life or sports, it gets harder and harder. And then boom, something happens. You have a huge setback. Maybe you didn't reach your goal as fast as you thought you would, or maybe it's a lot harder than you thought it was going to be. Sometimes in our personal lives, something happens and we can't focus on our goal right now because we got to focus on this thing in our personal life. When these obstacles happen, and they will, you're going to have setbacks. You're going to have days where it just feels like I'm so far away from achieving my dreams. We all experience this, and when it happens, you got to believe in yourself. It's going to be hard. It's going to be really, really hard because life is just hard. But you got to believe that you can overcome it. I had times in my life where no one believed I could reach a tennis tournament of the top 32 tennis players in the United States. I know this because my brother told me. He's like, no one thought you'd make it that fast, especially after your back surgery. And you just got to believe in yourself and not give yourself the option to quit. If you quit, then, your dream's over. I've had situations where I've had to put some dreams on the back burner, but I didn't give up on them. So when you're having a rough day or rough week, rough month, maybe even a rough year, you got to tell yourself, you have to tell yourself over and over, I believe I can do it. I'm going to do it. What I've learned and my parents have told me is that, nothing in life is ever guaranteed. Sometimes you put in hard work and it doesn't happen, but you can't get rewarded if you don't put in the hard work. So through all this is the reason why I've gotten a job at Special Olympics Nebraska, how I learned to podcast on my own. I started my own YouTube channel during COVID, and how recently I got the opportunity where I applied for this job with other athletes around the world. And I was chosen as one of 10 athletes around the whole world as a Sergeant Shriver Global Messenger to represent the North America region. I just got back from training that I went to in May. And, I wouldn't have accomplished all this if it wasn't for all the ups and downs of my life. And I just did it because I believed it would happen and I believed I would succeed. So that's my story. And thank you for having me. I'm really appreciative that I got this opportunity to speak to you guys. So thank you.
Pretty impressive story.
Excellent. Wyatt, you are an extraordinary inspiration, and I'm so grateful that you're able to join us today. What an amazing story, and you are just a testament to strength and character and going for your goals. Just amazing. I've been seeing questions pop up and hands pop up all through your presentation. So I am going to, if you don't mind, if you have
Debbie
a little
Horn.
more time for us for questions.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. Brian, are you there? Brian,
He's-
Jackson?
Yes, Debbie, I am here.
Do you want to call on your fellow global messengers to let them ask questions of Wyatt? Do you want to kind of play that role today? Take on that role?
Yeah, I would like to, but I want. Is it okay if I start? I have a question for
Yeah,
Wyatt.
please. If you would start, that would be great.
Wyatt, there's a question I've been wanting to ask you since I met you. How did you get chosen for the commercial for Special Olympics North America? Because before
Thought
I
I
met you, I saw you. I'm like, oh, that looks so cool. Just wondering how you got chosen for that.
The commercial I did? Yeah, they just contacted me and I was like back in like 2021 maybe. And they were like, yeah, you want to come to Oklahoma City and do a commercial? And I was just like, sure. And just reached out to Special Olympics Nebraska and they gave me the information. I talked to some people from, I think it's Special Olympics National. And yeah, it was just kind of like a kind of a lucky thing that happened, and it was a pretty cool experience. So
Can you see the hands that are raised, Brian?
I see. Who's? Let me see. Who's next? Who's next?
Becca, Aaron,
All
Alexandra.
right, Allison. All right, Allison, go ahead. You have a question for Wyatt?
Oh yeah, actually, Wyatt, I got two questions to ask you. First of all, how did you overcome your fear with all that you go through?
oh, that's a good question. I think just like I don't remember how I was, might have been eighth grade. I just didn't want to. I kind of just told myself look, you're just gonna have these ups and downs, and you're gonna have this disability. So I just think, what's the worst that could happen? The worst that's kind of already happened with all my surgeries. So why not just kind of go for it? And I kind of realized at that age, it's just going to take me longer to reach my dreams because of my health conditions and disability. I know at 25.
Right. Yeah. And the other question I asked, because I know you had trouble with classes and all, but did you have
Yeah.
any special education or anything?
Yeah. So I was in the resource classes. I had to have really large print because my eyesight. And then I went to college for 2 years. But yeah, I had certain accommodations for me in class. So
And I competed in your hometown of Nebraska before, because I've been to Nebraska once.
oh, were you there for the 2010 USA Games?
Yes, I was. I might have seen you there.
I don't think you saw me there. That's when I first
Well,
kind of joined.
yeah, because I competed in track and field.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Yeah, that's my sport.
Nice. Yeah, I wouldn't have been there because I had just joined and I lived in a town that was an hour away. But
Oh, I would love to meet you in person one of these
yeah,
days.
that would have been cool.
Yeah, that would be nice.
I was pretty young then. I was 13 or 12 back then. So
How old are you now?
29.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Ooh.
Speaking of the USA Athletes, my brother and my sister-in-law went, and they actually had some athletes with them, and they actually
Oh.
competed.
Cool. Nice.
That was a good experience for them too, to see that, and they had a great time.
Nice. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I see her.
Oh, okay. I'm
Okay,
so sorry.
Alex.
I wasn't sure if you would heard me or not, though, and everything else. So, what's your name? Wyatt? Wyatt?
Yeah, Wyatt.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
I just
go
want to
ahead,
make sure
Aaron.
let's make sure I don't want to say the wrong name or anything else.
You
So,
good.
okay. Listen, I'm gonna say
Uh-oh, he
this
froze.
about what you went through. I want to tell you about your goods, your bads, and your uglies, but what you went through and everything else. So yes, I know it was hard for you to go through that when you wanted to become really good in basketball, and I know they told you that you weren't fast enough, you weren't good enough, and everything else. So because of your disability, does not matter exactly about your disability or anything else. So it matters of what you can do in your heart is
Yeah.
what you're special in. All right.
All right.
The other thing I'm going to say is that you have mostly traveled for so long by getting from where you had to be to do basketball. Because I know everybody else on this screen loves basketball and everything else. So, and I know sometimes you try to make 3-pointers, though. Yes, that is hard to make 3-pointers because I've done it before and everything else. So, okay. And
Yeah.
I'm also an athlete, though. You know, I just turned 50 this year. But like I said, I mean, I'm still doing my sports, Olympics, track and field. I'm also doing volleyball and everything else. So for Team Wildcats, I've been with them for the last 30 years.
Wow.
And you know, the best part with that is all of us on this screen, we are global messengers, and we are all Special Olympics athletes, and we've been doing this for many years. And listen, you don't ever slow yourself down, even though my boy Bobby says that he retires and everything else. So I hear what you're saying there, Bobby. I hear you though.
Yeah. I'm coming back with one more year playing ball.
Yeah, but then if you would have kept going for another 2 more years, you would have been all set. But what I'm saying is right now is keep doing what you're doing.
All right.
Don't ever stop or anything else until your body says it's done.
All right.
Once you're done and everything else, so then you can like figure out exactly what you want to do. You want to retire and everything from Special Olympics, or
I can do that.
You can be a Special Olympics ambassador.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to be a Special Olympics ambassador because I wanted to help people.
Yeah.
I want to help people.
You can be a great one.
That's me getting involved with my sports. I've been doing it since high school and everything else. And the best thing with that is I love doing what I'm doing. But like I said, just keep in mind right now that you are doing your sport, and I want you to keep going because you can always keep in touch with us of anything that you need from us.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks, man. Appreciate
Thank you.
it.
All right. Alexander, you have a question from?
I have a question. What is your
Go ahead.
favorite sport, Wyatt?
My favorite sport is basketball. Probably just because you can shoot baskets by yourself, and that's what I did a lot growing up. So basketball is definitely my favorite. I love to watch college basketball and March Madness. So basketball is my favorite.
My favorite sports, I love swimming, golfing. I love to dance a lot. That's
Nice.
about it. I love doing that.
That's cool. Yeah,
Of
I'm
course,
not a
we
very
all love to dance.
Oh yes,
Sure do.
everyone likes to dance.
Yeah, golf. That's cool. Golf's a hard sport. I bet you're pretty good at it, though.
How about Zumba?
Oh, I don't know.
Do you like Zumba, Wyatt?
I've never tried it. My mom does it though.
It's kind of like dancing.
Okay. All right.
It's another word of dancing.
Nice.
Rebecca, you have a question?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
like, if you could do one other sport, what would it be?
Ooh. I kind of am doing it like softball. I wish I was a little better at softball because it's very hard for me hand-eye coordination. But yeah, if I could kind of be a little better at it, probably softball. Baseball was the first
Okay, cool.
sport. Yeah, baseball was the first sport I learned to play like at a really young age. So
Uh-huh.
I'd always wanted to play softball, and this is my second year playing. So yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay, cool.
I've been playing softball for a long time. I like it. It's nice.
Yeah, it's a hard sport, but it's fun.
No, it's not that bad. It's just learn how to keep your eye on the ball and hit.
Yeah.
I was the catcher from my classmate team,
Nice.
but I was a catcher and most safest position I ever played.
Cool.
What's your favorite colors? Because I love March Madness too, and what's your favorite college team?
Ooh, so Nebraska, but by outside Nebraska, I'm a big Duke fan. So I like Duke.
You like that too?
Uh-oh. Someone's shaking their head. Uh-oh.
Yeah, I get a
Someone's
little
shaking their
that one,
head.
so people
I
are Duke fan, but we don't care.
did.
I
Someone's shaking their head.
I'm on like Boston teams, but that's what I do like UConn.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
like
same
it.
here. I like
Actually,
UConn.
we had a work my first year on the job last year. We had like a pool for March Madness, and I picked UConn to win the whole thing, and I won like some money off of that. So very happy we
Nice.
did. So
Yeah.
I love
Nice.
doing that too.
Nice.
yeah, I told people this year, I was like, they're winning it again. It's like you can't repeat. It's like look how good they are, man. I'm telling you, I watch every night. And I'm like,
I actually saw Dan Hurley and Jim Calhoun as
yeah.
at the event, and they are really really nice to see, and they
Yeah.
have a lot of good players.
Oh yeah, I'd love to meet Hurley and someday. He's one of my favorite coaches. I liked him even before he got to UConn, so I'm glad he's doing real well. So
Yeah, I'm hoping for a three-peat.
yeah, that'd be cool. That'd make history.
Yeah.
Question for Wyatt?
I think Megan has her hand up and Natasha.
And I had like
Yeah,
one
Megan,
more
yeah,
question
go
I
ahead,
forgot
Megan.
to ask.
So, do you want to get involved in Special Olympics, right? Because we have a team in Sutton. If you want to get involved in that, we have like different sports to do. We do
Yeah.
have tennis.
Cool.
We have tennis, we have track and field. They do have flag football. So,
Nice.
if you want to get involved in that, you can do that if you want to.
Yeah, like I play so in my hometown, a town called Fremont here in Nebraska. There was just one organization, but now in Lincoln, I play with like several different organizations because every organization has different sports. So yeah, I've been playing like I play unified softball and flag football, and then I play traditional basketball, which I hadn't done in over a decade, which is pretty
Okay.
fun. And then I play traditional tennis as well. So yeah, I'm still playing, and that's what when I got the job for Nebraska Special Olympics, I was like, I can still play, right? Because that's kind of my main thing. And
So we do in
yeah,
the summer, we do track and field in the summer,
Yeah.
and we do bowling in the fall.
cool.
And
Yeah.
then they do sometimes tennis in the summer and different sports. And
Nice.
Debbie will give you some ideas for you. Also, she's great at it. So
Yeah.
she
For your
can
winter
ask
games.
Debbie and she will help you out.
All right.
Yeah, we actually have 28 different sports, so it's throughout the
Cool.
year, starting from like March to all the way through February. So
Yeah, that's
there's a
what we
lot
do.
of variety of sports.
Yeah, that's what we do in Nebraska too. We have our fall games coming up, and I'm playing softball and tennis for that. So should be pretty good.
Yeah, I do volleyball during the winter though, and usually
Nice.
sometimes on the side I'll do cornhole. So
Cool.
that's another sport though.
Awesome.
I do croquet, which is coming up, and then I do bowling. I do it traditional, so it's just me bowling, and then I do snowshoeing.
Cool.
Hey, Natasha, do you have a question for Wyatt?
Yes. So I enjoyed your wonderful documentary about your life and your sports and and your parents. They are just trying to help you, right?
Yeah.
And have you tried by using your voice in your self advocacy?
Yeah. Yeah, so I do that a lot. Now with my job at Special Olympics Nebraska, I give a lot of speeches. I gave a speech last week to a college class, and then tomorrow I'm giving a speech to parents that have kids that are 2 to 6 years old that have disabilities. That's actually one of my favorites to do, just because like my parents didn't know what to do when I was born, so I think that's one of my favorites. So that's what I like about my job is they give me a lot of opportunities to give speeches like this.
Sorry, I wrote that wrong.
I like that.
So because being self-determined,
Yeah.
it's like wanting your dreams to
Yeah.
get what you want. Because because parents should listen to their teenagers more. I mean, have you tried standing up to your father, what he thinks?
No, like so my dad and I were super close. And my dad, like, I think people think like he was mean about it, but that's not really the case. My dad was pretty like heartbroken when he had to tell me I couldn't play sports. Like my dad loved sports because he played growing up and he wanted my brother and I have 2 older sisters as well. We all played sports. We all played catch in the backyard. And it was very hard for my dad to tell me that I couldn't play sports, but uh, he was doing it because he had to keep me safe. But then he was also the one that found me Special Olympics because he wanted me to compete and play. I've actually played like unified tennis with my dad when I first started playing, and then he's coached me in tennis. He's still my coach in tennis, like when I go to tournaments outside Nebraska. And so, yeah, I mean, I know it seems like my dad was kind of being mean, but he really wasn't. He was just trying to, uh, keep me safe and but he still wanted to give me opportunity to play. So that's how he found me Special Olympics. So, yeah.
Now I have just have a comment. Wyatt wanted to post the call on his social media pages. I was wondering if you guys were okay with that.
Yeah, it would be okay
Yeah,
with you
sure.
if I took a couple clips for like if you guys send me the recording and I took a couple clips from my speech and posted it on
Oh, absolutely. Oh, you can post it to my email address if Gabby can send it to me.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
send
One
me
other
the
question I
too.
forgot to ask you.
All right, hold on, Ellie. I just want to make sure everybody didn't get a chance to ask a question, gets a chance because we're getting really close to 5 o'clock. So I just want to
Okay, Debs.
has a turn if that's okay. Ryan, I think Ryan didn't get a chance to ask a question yet.
Yeah, Ryan Fajoli. Yeah, Ryan Fajoli had a question.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Ryan, if you have a question for
I
Wyatt.
do. How long you know Brian
What do you say?
I don't know.
I think, are you asking how long he's known Brian
How long have you
Drexler?
known Brian Drexler?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
What do you say? Sorry.
How long have you known Brian Drexler?
How long?
Oh, we met like back in May.
Couple
months.
Yeah, a couple months, right?
Yeah, it's probably been like
Yeah.
almost 2 months. So I just met him over the interview. So, but yeah, it's good to meet him and become fast friends. So,
Yep. That's
Do you
right.
like bowling?
Okay, that's great.
Is there anybody that hasn't asked a question yet? Dan Whiting? Okay, and then John Brillante. Go ahead, guys. Go ahead, Dan first, and then John.
How many years are you involved with Special Olympics?
oh, that's a good question. 10, 11, 16 years, I think. it's been.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
John Berlante? Sorry, Brian, I hopped in just to make sure everybody gets a chance. I hope you don't mind.
That's all right.
Hello, Wyatt. I'm John. I just wanted to ask you, are for eating foods, I work in a hospital, so I kind of know what you're talking about. But the thing is, I was just wondering, when you couldn't smell food and everything, do you have to go back to the hospital to eat it, or I mean, for
Yeah,
them to give it to you?
so when I can't swallow,
Mhm.
it's usually like I can feel it coming on, like my stomach closing.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of know like, okay, it's time. I have to like call in advance, like months in advance, like, hey, can I have this my procedure on this date? It'll be like
Understand.
8 or 12 weeks out. And so yeah. And sometimes I have had to do an emergency, like, hey, look, I can't eat
I
as
mean,
much. So yeah, I have
I
to go
mean,
in and do it.
I
So
mean, does your stomach growl like other people's?
yeah, my stomach does all that and stuff.
Okay.
Like when I'm like sometimes I eat and I'm
Mm-hmm.
still hungry, but I can't eat anymore because my stomach is like 2 times smaller than the average stomach.
Yeah.
So it gets like stuck. It's like
Yeah.
stuck and it has to go down. And
Mm.
sometimes it takes a while. And so
I mean, do
that's
people,
what
I mean, do people have to do like CPR to get it down or no?
No, I usually just kind of like wait for it to go down. I
Okay.
have had episodes where I needed the Heimlich because it
Okay.
feels like it's stuck and I'm choking.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
that was like only a couple times. But now my life is more like I just have to like sometimes I have to stand up because when you eat food, what
Mm-hmm.
my doctor told me is we have these muscles that help us propel food down into our stomach.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
my muscles are all dead. Like they're
Mm.
gone. So like sometimes if it's really tight, I'll stand up and I'll eat. 'Cause I'm
Yeah.
all on gravity. So yeah.
Okay. I understand.
Yeah.
Thank
Thanks
you
for
for that. Thank
I
you.
think
Thank you very much.
I think Carly has a question, don't you?
Yes. Wyatt, have you and Brian been getting together ever since you became friends through Zoom meetings?
We just text, you know. We us living so far apart, we can't really
Yeah.
hang out in person, but yeah, we just text and it's been really good. I met like Brian, RJ, who works in North America, who's also in the interview. Like
Yeah.
I met a lot of good friends that live in different states through Special Olympics, and I just text them all the time, and yeah, it's been great. So
And then what
Yep.
made your dad have you get involved in Special Olympics when
So
you
my
found
dad
it?
knew that I was very competitive. My dad actually created a unified basketball team like
Yeah.
when I was in fourth grade, and we played like other teams, and there weren't many unified teams. So when I got to seventh grade, he wanted me to be involved in sports, and so he just asked around and found Corey Piercy, who was
Yeah.
the coach in my hometown, and that's how I got involved. And
Well,
yeah, so that was
that's all my questions for now.
cool.
Thanks, Carly. It's 5 o'clock, so I want to be respectful of Wyatt's time and Brian's and all of your time. Wyatt, is it okay if we share some of this as well?
Yeah, that's what I would love. I just want to, get the story out there, and I thank you so much for having me, guys.
You're welcome.
Oh, wonderful.
Meet all
Let's
of
give
you.
a big round of
Anytime.
applause for Wyatt.
Absolutely. You're
Oh,
one of
that's
us
so
right now, Wyatt.
Thank you, Wyatt.
Thank you.
Hey,
Well,
Wyatt,
thank
I
you
was gonna
so
ask
much.
you,
Thanks
we
to
traveled
Brian
all
for
over.
arranging this. Thanks to Wyatt for an amazing presentation, for sharing so much of himself and his
Absolutely.
sharing with
Thank
us.
you.
Yeah,
And
Brian,
thank
good
you all
job,
for
buddy.
participating.
yeah,
Oh,
thank you guys
yeah.
for having me.
Good job, Wyatt. Thank you.
Good
Thank you.
job, Brian. I'm
you.
proud of you,
Good job,
Brian.
Wyatt.
Bye.
Job,
Thank you
Wyatt.
very
Take
much.
care,
Bye.
everyone.
Mhm, mhm.